welcome everybody, welcome. I hope that you are having a wonderful Sunday. So I'll just wait for everyone to join in. Not everyone, but I have been doing my prep so long, and it's going well. Welcome to all my special members. It's been a while. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, just this slight delay with the technology, but I'm glad you're here. So I'll just wait for people to join. In the meanwhile, though, compliments to you too. Thank you. Oh, I forgot. That's how quickly the year passes. Compliments. I wish you an incredible year ahead. I hope that everything is well with you. And I hope that whatever you didn't achieve last year, you know that you can still achieve this year. And yeah, I'm quite excited to see, where we go with the year. I'm quite excited to tackle it, because I think we need a lot of courage to be able to go ahead with living. In fact, because it's such a challenging thing to have come from such two very difficult years. And I think a lot of people were quite pensive when we were coming into 2022. They were quite scared. But I don't think you should be scared at all. Every day you are alive is a moment to live. So thank you so much. Let me see if I should just carry on. I'm sure people will just join us as we go. So today I'm making a leg of lamb, and I'm gonna serve it with a potato bake, which is my favorite, but the way I make it, I think is the best. And then I'm gonna make it with some roasted beetroot. Now, the kind of beetroot I make is this. I get these tiny little beetroots. Usually I harvest these from my garden, but my harvest hasn't come yet because we finished the harvest last year. So now I've planted, I'm waiting. And I like the baby beetroots because they cook quicker. But what I do with these, I roast them in the oven at about 200 degrees. And what's nice is that it keeps the flavors inside. So I'm not necessarily a person that's just gonna boil them and serve them the good old way with vinegar. So stick around, you'll see how I make these, and they get really nice and tasty. So my potatoes are already cooking because I kind of had to get that going. The potatoes I don't peel. I actually rarely peel vegetables. I do tend to just cook them with the skin because that's where all the nutrients are. So let me see your questions. You must just okay. I just need to be able to see the questions. I see some comments coming in, but I have to see the questions as well. Just give me a moment. Okay, so please do ask me. Hello from Namibia. Do ask me the questions and I'll be able to start answering them. But in the meanwhile, I'm just going to be carrying on with my prep. So let's firstly, so the potatoes are boiling with the skin on. I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do with this lamb. It's okay, baby, live your life. My son is always there. Yes, and I got this apron, in fact, from Namibia. Claudia from Namibia gifted it to me when I was there. So anyway, so let me tell you what I do with the lamb. And this one is actually deboned. It just has this one bone here, but just I don't like it when it's got that long. Well, I like it sometimes, but this one just has that short bone here, so it feels quite meaty. So what I do is just poke it with, a knife, sharp knife. Just poke the meat so that we get some flavors in there. So I just use a little bit of olive oil and rub that over, and the oil will sip into into the meat itself. So I'm actually always amazed at people with very long nails. I don't know how they cook. Maybe they just don't cook. All right, so let's pour a little bit more. A lamb is quite a fatty meat, so but I mean olive oil is quite healthy, so you can just add, because this helps with the roasting process. So then what I'll do is just some black pepper, and I don't really go easy on the black pepper because I love black pepper. I can't cook without it. And then some salt. So I use, well, my wonderful housekeeper cleaned up my spice drawer and moved away my salt. But let's use some of this salt from the US. Someone sent this salt to me, well, from New York, I think. So just a bit of salt, tiny bit of salt, and I'll just season it quite a bit there. Okay, let me see if I've got any questions. I'll just keep checking. It's I've done a live session on YouTube before, but it was for the mentorship session. So I'm learning a few things today where I have to actually read the comments and the questions. And so I also have some fresh rosemary. So what I do with the rosemary, I literally stuff it in the holes that I made earlier, because this is now gonna like slip nicely into the meat. There we go. I know it seems so barbaric, but this is what us meat eaters do with our meat. So yeah, let me see. I'm gonna check your questions just now, so just give me a moment. And once I've done this, I pretty much just put it in the oven. Oven is hot at 200 degrees. So you can do 200 degrees. And lamb, it really depends on how you like it done. I would recommend that you don't overcook lamb, you don't over roast or over bake lamb, because it just, I think you just lose the essence of it. So I'll put this probably for about 30 minutes, 25 minutes aside, and then maybe 15 on the under. But I'll show you what I do with this just now. So I'm gonna put it on the baking tray. But first let me see what's happening here. Show me your messages. Let's see. Okay, cool. You're still with me, right? Give me a thumbs up if you're still with me. I'm gonna have to keep checking the messages. Do ask me your questions with great pleasure. And then what I'll show you, I'll actually tell you a bit more about what I've been thinking about. Because this is not really, this is not a cooking show. I'm just cooking lunch, but then it's an opportunity for me to also just chat to you guys. So what I'll do is I'm gonna put a little bit of garlic on the roasting pan. Let's just put a touch of olive oil, just a touch, yeah. Then I'm gonna put some garlic. So this is nice garlic. I love garlic. You should never be afraid of garlic. The problem with people is that they cook with garlic, they don't remove the gases. So when you're cooking with garlic, you must do as you do with onion, just don't overburn it. Okay, so here you go. Oh, thank you guys, I can see you now. Thank you, here we go. So I put some more rosemary on top of the garlic. And then I'm gonna lay the lamb. So what that does is all of those flavors from the garlic will sip into the meat on the underside. So do that, and then I put that in the oven, and then I'll come back to you in a moment. In fact, what I'll do, I'll use the oven that's right under me, so I don't have to keep leaving the screen. So we're just gonna put, so let me see, have you got any questions for me? Let's see. No questions yet. Just lots of love. Thank you. Hit me up with some questions. I'm just gonna put this in the oven in the meanwhile, so just give me a moment. But I must tell you, one of the things that I've been busy with is I've been thinking about what it is that I want to do this year and how I want to do it. And it's incredible to go through that process because, you know, I try and slow myself down quite a lot. I slow myself down to a point where I'm in complete silence and I just listen. And I go for long walks and I just, you know, try and gain what is God trying to tell me, what is God trying to get me to do. And, you know, I've had to kind of revisit some of the things I've been doing and see how I'm going to do them this year. And I guess that's the fun part of it, is how am I going to do this thing this year? And I look forward to being able to continue to make a difference in people's lives in some shape or form. And what that's going to look like, I think I'm just, again, listening in and hearing God speak. And one of the things I've done is just let's streamline some of the things that I do online. And I want to use the online platforms, you know, I want to continue to use them for good and to be able to reach more people. So I know to all my people who are here from Instagram, I know it's very hard for Instagrammers to migrate to another platform. And they're quite used to me doing these online on Instagram, but the truth is that I can't engage with your comments on Instagram afterwards. So I always feel like it's just a one-way conversation. So I would love to actually engage with some of your comments. And I'm just busy preparing the beetroot now. Nothing exciting there. So let's see. So that's what I've been doing, and I want to be more energy efficient this year as well, because that's one of my priorities is to always use my energy in. So it's do have impact. So do with my time what yields impact, and not just waste my time because, you know, I'm just trying to do things for the sake of doing them. So what I've been really thinking about is, okay, so how can I expand the impact? But also without burning myself up, because that's the most important thing. The one thing that women don't do very well is actually to look after themselves. So at the top of my list for this year is to continue looking after myself, because that's something I really do care about. So to my Instagrammers, welcome. It's hard for you to migrate, I know, but I think they'll get used to it. One of the things that I've really had to get used to is that I want to be able to scale my conversations and you know, have people access them at any other given time. And also, I'm building this channel, and this is where I'm going to focus a lot of my energy on. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have been camping on it and getting some insights. So I'm glad, and we'll just keep going. We'll keep going. So how do I manage to cook and still be a businesswoman? I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to cook and still be a businesswoman. Because the role you play out there is not. I mean, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a person that loves to cook. Being a businesswoman doesn't deter me from doing that. Being a businesswoman is just a job. That's what I do, you know. I still have a home life that I have to look after. So, and I don't cook because someone says I must cook. I cook because I love to cook, you know. Timna says, I'm at a point in my life where I'm about to make a huge and life-changing decision. However, this decision is totally not welcomed. Is totally not welcome by my friends and family, understandably so. And I guess, I mean, I'm not sure what your question is, Timna, but let me preempt it and tell me if I'm wrong. I guess the whole point in life is that if not everyone around you is going to appreciate your change, whatever your change is. Because remember, people around you might have grown very comfortable, accustomed to what you were. And that's the most difficult thing about change, is that people often don't want you to change, especially if it's to their comfort, that you stay the same. And whatever decisions you make in life, you're making them for yourself. You're not making them for anybody else. So I would really say that you need to be comfortable with your own decisions and be willing to lose people along the way, because that's unfortunately one of the byproducts of changing your life, is that you get to lose some people along the way. So I wouldn't say it's something that should suddenly make you change whatever it is that whatever decision you were going to make. You must just remain steadfast in it, especially if it's something that's good for you, that is needed for you, that you probably really have had to do, and you said it's an important decision. So you must just understand what are people's intentions, because when people are not welcoming of something that is great for you, it means it will not, they're feeling threatened that whatever you were to them is no longer going to be that. And sometimes that's actually okay. People must grow, we must grow, and people must also get used to the fact that we also change. And so if your change is about yourself, good for you, go for it. So I'm just transferring this onto this other pan, because I'm going to use the oven underneath. So yeah, I'd say just be okay, be at peace with the decisions that you've made, be at peace with wanting to change your life, and remembering that your life is your life. We don't live for other people, we live for ourselves. And people must take you as you are, and if that's a problem for them, then maybe it is a good thing that you perhaps lose them. So yeah, I hope that helps. God has been speaking to me for some time now about this change, but I guess my mistake has been relying on people for affirmation. Yeah, I don't, if you are looking for people to affirm you, you're going to live your life in misery. You're going to live your life in misery because people have no need to affirm you if it's going against what their benefit is to you. So go for what you need to go for. Do what you need to do. And also, I mean, if God has spoken to you, about something, it is incumbent upon yourself to make sure that you listen. So yeah, people are not going to be happy sometimes with the decisions that we make, especially when they get to lose their position in your life, especially when they get to lose the power grip that they might have on you. So yeah, I just think you need to make time with yourself and make peace with your decision. And remember, you can make the decision. You're not in control of the consequences of your decision. So if people decide to not welcome the change, then they probably don't need to be in your life. And that's the harsh truth, but it is the truth. Yeah. So anyway, what I'm going to do now, let me just see, because I had set up here to also see some of, I'm still learning how to use YouTube, so give me a moment. Hi, Amanda. I feel so blessed to have this opportunity to listen and learn from you. I'm trying to grow and take my business to the next level, and had an idea that I need to implement. So I did something to paint myself in a corner to force me to forge ahead. but I'm so anxious. Sorry, but I'm so anxious. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid that people I'm bringing on with will think, Aibo, how does she think this is going to work? I can't go back on my decision. I guess that was the idea in how I did it. Can you talk to how you do such big things so confidently? Was it always like that? I the one thing I had to cultivate a lot in my life is self-belief. And I had to cultivate it all by myself because I didn't exactly have an environment that was supporting that or helping me grow in my confidence and in my belief. So I had to really cultivate that myself. And how do you cultivate that? Is you really spend time with understanding where you've come from and how the things that you've experienced affect you now. So it's about confronting your true self, and when you start to understand who you are, and you start to understand what your limitations are. I don't believe in limitations, so I believe in just pushing myself all the time. So what if I fail? So what if I don't get the desired outcome? So I think it's also about how you perceive yourself and how you perceive yourself in relation to potential failure. And I had to cultivate that self-belief because I don't really think you can achieve anything big in life without that. And with self-belief comes the confidence to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. So I had I had a lot of work to do on myself. So, and I didn't want to rely on people affirming me. I didn't want to rely on people telling me, yeah, you're on the right track or well done, No, I wanted to rely on myself. And to be honest, even now, I mean, half the things I do, I tell my husband about them. I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm doing this, or I'm planning to do this. I don't seek permission from anybody to do what I do. I listen to God, I listen to where God leads me, I listen to where my heart says I should go. And that's where I go, And I think though, and from what I've just read in your comment, in your question, you are probably afraid to fail. And the best thing that you can do is to go ahead with what you've started. Keep going with it and see, where does it lead you? Because some things you have to see them through, and you do actually learn along the way. So I have a lot of learnings along the way. Without a doubt, not everything I touch turns into gold. but I'm resolute in trying again. I'm resolute in learning along the way. I've found myself getting in industries that I wouldn't otherwise, have ever thought I'd be in. But because I have such an open and learning spirit, and for me, failure is not, I don't take failure like a lot of people do. I just take failure or whatever hasn't failed, or I haven't failed. Whatever I've done or whatever I've tried is didn't work out. So yeah, and some things that don't work out come at a higher price than others. So it's not that I'm saying some things don't cost you; they do cost you. Mm-hmm. And it's just being okay with the fact that you will do your best and not everything is going to go according to plan all the time. And in business, sometimes it's a matter of luck, persistence, and just sheer grit, because it doesn't just fall on your lap. And if you've brought people along that bought into your vision, they are at liberty to exit if they no longer feel that that you are aligned. In fact, I also think it's okay to be honest with people when they are no longer aligned on your vision. And it's also okay to go back to the drawing board and say, actually, I need to just rethink this because it's no longer what I thought it would be. There's no shame in that. I just think a lot of people get into business thinking it is one thing and they realize it's not, and it's harder than they thought. And they're not always, people aren't always humble enough to say, okay, listen, this thing has smacked me in the face, let me just take a step back and relook what my next move is. So I think you should be okay with that and not take failure as this, you know, and you haven't yet failed. So so I'd say just go for it and just keep trying, whatever it is you are going after. And some people will be with you, some won't be. It's your dream after all, it's not theirs. So, you know, I think you should be okay with that. All right, so this one says, Molowe, to just by observing from what you post on social media, you come across as someone who attracts positive vibes, friends, business, and etc. How do you maintain that? I thrive on energy. I thrive on not just positive energy, but I really thrive on living life to the fullest. And I don't always get friends that are the right ones. so I also struggle with that sometimes. I think someone is a friend and I realize that they actually aren't. So I don't necessarily always get things, even in business. Sometimes I get involved in businesses that don't work out the way I hoped. But I'm glad though that with time I've grown to know what to get involved with and what not to get involved with. But the one thing I know for a fact I can control is myself. So how I show up is what I control. And I actually live a very positive and cheerful life. It's not put on, it's not, what you see online is exactly how I am in my life. So it's not, sorry, there's some people there. I've got 7 kids in my house today, guys. So just give me a moment. I'm just gonna check what's going on. Are you okay? Why? I can see you on my screen. Why are you just So yeah, 3 of my friends' boys slept over. So plus my 4 children. So yeah. It's a hectic house. So yeah, I think that I purposefully live my life in a positive manner. Doesn't mean I don't have struggles, but I have made the decision. I made the decision a long time ago that if there was one thing I was fully in control of, is my life. Is how I show up for myself, how I show up for my family, how I show up for the people I care about, the things that I care about. And that's a conscious decision, and making sure that when I come across negative energy, I don't entertain it. But sometimes it catches you off guard, and that's one of the things that I've grown to learn, is that you can be prepared for some of these things, but sometimes it just, like, you don't see it coming. So yeah, my life is cheerful. My life is very blessed. I've worked very hard to be where I am, be it in business, and have built the reputation that I've built. And those are not things that just happen overnight, you know. These are things that you actually work on purposefully and every single day, meaning the decisions you make along the way, who you decide to partner with, who you decide to be friends with. And because there is sometimes, you know, that guilt by association kind of perception. So unfortunately, I guess also fortunately, friendships are no longer just we like each other. No, it's about what are we connected to, you know, what is the purpose of our friendship. And I guess, guys, we are old, we have lives, we have families to look after, you know. I don't really have a lot of time for things that don't serve my purpose. Okay, so what I've done now is let me just quickly show you. These are the baby beets. So I've rinsed them, and I'm just gonna get them dry before I put them in the oven. All right, so let me see. So let me just go back to Nothando's point. She says that over the years, I have found that it's easier to work alone and have not been afraid to fail alone. Over the years, I've loved learning from my mistakes, where when there are now people involved. Okay, okay, she got the answer. All right. So yeah, I think I've kind of given the answer to that other question. Tiemo says, morning Amanda, a brand is important for any business. What did you do to build the Amanda brand? What do you do to maintain and keep it relevant? As keep it relevant, especially that the brand is diversifying. So branding is everything, right? Your personal brand particularly is everything. But here's what I didn't do. I didn't wake up and say, I am going to build the Amanda brand. No, I woke up and I said, where does God need me? What is it that I am here for? What is it that I believe in? So things like, and I want to trace back, because what you see now and what you see being celebrated and awarded is not something that just happened overnight. It's something that has happened over years. You know, that concept of, you know, people being overnight successes, but people have been working all their lives to get to a point where they just have that one success or that one recognition. So for me, building a brand wasn't a I wake up every day and think I'm building a brand. No, it was, I am following the path that I believe God has carved out for me. I am following what my heart desires, and I'm going to do what is right. So all of the things, I mean, when I won the first business award I was recognized for, I was a runner-up for Business Woman of the Year, and it was BWSA, it's a Business Women Association of South Africa. That was, I think, a year after I had started my business, a year or two after I had started my business, and after I had left corporate. So again, you know, that was just the beginning, but people are recognizing the work that I've done. So I would say that people that are trying to build brands, don't focus on, I'm building a brand. Focus on the things that you are doing. Are those things going to help build the brand for you? Because it is our work ultimately that helps us build our brands. It's not, you can stand on, and you know this very well, there are people who stand on platforms and shout about how their brands are this and that, but there's no congruency between what they think they are and what they do. So it is so important to not just speak about the brand that you are aspiring to become, but to do those things every single day. So for me, my work has built the brand. And is it hard to maintain? No, because I don't think of myself as, oh, every day I've got this brand to maintain. No, because my brand has been built and has built itself through the work that I do. So the work that I do is the work that I do, and it's the things that I'm led to do. You know, it's the things that God leads me to, and I do those. And it's the things that I feel for me are what brings impact to the people that I support in some shape or form. So sorry, let me just put this beetroot. So the lamb is looking good. So yeah, I think it's and diversifying the brand. I mean, that can never be detrimental if you are doing the right things. If the brand that you have built is based on solid foundation. You know, my brand is not based on how nice my house is, how nice my cars are, how much money I have, where I vacation. No, none. Those things don't build a brand. You know, it's the work that we do. It's the impact we have on people that ultimately builds a sustainable brand. And the foundation is the work. So you can talk about being a brand and being no brand at all. We all know about those. All right, my lamb is looking good. So what I'm going to do in the same oven, because we like to be efficient, so I'm just going to spray a bit of olive oil on the beets, and what I then do is just a touch of, I've got some citrus salt here, but just normal salt is fine. So just a touch of salt on the bits, and then we put the bits in the same oven as we are cooking the lamb, because you don't want to waste power and electricity and whatever. So I'm just gonna bake these, roast them. And that lamb is smelling good. And the potatoes are coming along, so I'm gonna tell you that we're probably gonna be starting with the potato bacon a bit. So my lunch is actually quite quick to cook, but it's really yum. So okay, so yeah, I hope that helps, Tuemo. I really think that to diversifying is about where is God leading me. That's what I do. And now, I mean, I've gone into full-on media in a way through this animation process that I've gone through with my children's book and the series that I'm creating. And that for me is not about fame or being known. It's not about Amanda the brand. That is about doing God's work. That is about seeing how I can contribute towards changing what children are consuming every day and what lessons I would like them to receive. That lessons that would build them to be better adults. So again, if the foundation of what you're trying to do is fraught, your brand is going to be fraught without a shadow of doubt. And how I actually constantly maintain my brand is that I don't get involved in things that will tarnish my reputation. So people can offer you all sorts of deals in business. I'm very clear about what I will accept and what I won't accept. I'd rather work for longer in my life and get little projects that I know I can stand up for, rather than get a big project that I then find my name getting mentioned in places that it shouldn't be mentioned. So it's so important that you know that some things may look good, but they're not really good. So listen to what your values are saying. And above everything else, develop a strong set of values, because that's what guides you ultimately. That will guide you. Okay, so thank you guys. Novantu says, hi Amanda, I received Therefore I Rose this week, and I'm on page 12 and I can't put it down. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for writing this book. Good job, Sissy. Thank you, Novantu. Lerato says, I don't have a question, but a comment. I'm currently reading Therefore I Rose, and you've just released from thinking that I want to be an entrepreneur. I actually love corporate. I get into industries that I have no idea about, and I kill it and get promoted. Yes, girl. I'm actually good at contributing to business as an employee. I love the stability and feeling I get when I've helped my employer reach their goals and get rewarded for it. So thank you for helping me release myself from that, at least for now. You know, it's my pleasure. It really is. And I wrote that and I've said it multiple times, but I had to add it to the book so that people actually connect with it, because there's this big misconception and probably misinformation, to be honest, and it's probably more to do with the social media world, where people portray this image of, you know, you've made it in life when you run your own business. Or that if you are if you work for someone, your life is lower than, you know, the person that is the boss lady or the boss babe. Or, you know, I always say to people, come on guys, we have to be responsible with these things. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody is meant to be in corporate, but it is okay to want to have something on the side so that it supplements your income in some shape or form. There are people who have done that successfully for their entire careers, people who have careers that they really respect and enjoy and are thriving in them. But because, you know, you can't always rely on just one thing these days, because bonuses are no longer as big as they used to be. Increases are no longer as big as they used to be. Sometimes they just don't come at all. So if you have something on the side that can pump in some money a little bit extra, that can then help with the financial burden, then, you know, that's okay. But that doesn't mean you are now an entrepreneur. And it doesn't mean you must now jump ship from your corporate job and become an entrepreneur. And I dare say entrepreneurship is like, you are called for it. it's a way of life. It's not just something you do. So I don't find it cute when people are branding all these things about, oh, boss babe. I'm just like, stop it. It's annoying. So no, don't feel pressure to, and I'm glad you've released yourself from that pressure to just become an entrepreneur because everyone is an entrepreneur, because, oh no, I mean, it seems like the cutest thing to do, or it seems like, and by the way, most of these people who are busy branding themselves as these successful things online, they're not that successful. Because actually really successful business people are not going to be branding, are not going to be touting that everywhere they go. In fact, successful business people are successful business people. They don't have to act successful. They don't have to tell their success. They don't have to rub their success in your face. So I do think that there's a big responsibility as well in the people who are real business people, who are real entrepreneurs, to be responsible with how we come across. And I can tell you that there's something that I used to do, because I really love traveling. I love vacations. And, I would post on Instagram maybe when I'm like, on my way to a vacation, or I'm on vacation. And then I've been thinking about those things. And I'm like, when I'm posting it, and the people that follow me on Instagram know, when I post it, I'm not posting it as, oh, see me, I fly first class and all my toddlers are in first class, oh, I'm the best. No, it's the fact that I've worked so hard in the year that this is the only thing I've been looking forward to, is that it's the only thing that keeps me going, is the fact that I can actually then get to vacation. But also the message for me, there's always a message to what I post, and the message is that you are allowed to enjoy your life. You are allowed to work hard and then enjoy your life proper and good, like eat it with a fork and a knife, whatever you want. But one of the things I've started to be conscious of is maybe I'm also adding to this pressure around what an entrepreneur is and what an entrepreneur achieves or doesn't achieve. Well, the difference for me is that actually I talk about my struggles, so it's not like I'm only painting this glossy picture, but I've actually pulled myself back on those things. I'm like, actually, Amanda, whilst you think on the one end, this is the message you're getting across, on the other side, you're probably also putting people under a lot of pressure. So it's unintended consequences of what we do get to do online. And so yeah, it's just release yourself from pressures. And one of the things that I've really zoned in on this year is that I'm gonna do, what God is leading me to do. I'm gonna use my platforms to help people and to contribute towards them changing their lives. But I'm not for 1 second going to contribute to them feeling less about themselves. And I've actually said this to my friends before. Even when I had the nice holiday last year, July, I said to them, I'm not going to post anything about it. They're like, no, man, please do, because there's so many people who are inspired by the fact that you've come from nothing, but now you're able to actually do something for yourself and your family, and you can actually enjoy your life. I'm like, yeah, there's probably more people who connect with that, but then there's another one or two who end up feeling a little left out or a little less about what they've achieved. And I never want to be a contributing factor to people feeling less about themselves. So it's possible that it's all in my head. It's also possible that it's really not as big a deal as I make it out to be. But at this moment, this is how I feel. So, so I'm glad I could help you through Therefore I Rose. And well done on appreciating how far you're going on in your career. And it's okay. So Tati says, my observation is that your painful past has really molded your ability to be self-reliant. You seem to have no need for reassurance from other people. I'm learning to remain true to myself from you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it's no lie. It's probably one of the things I value the most about myself. The ability to rely on myself no matter what, and it's the ability to know that when all is said and done, my effort matters. and my opinion of myself matters. And I've had to grow incredibly self-reliant because the cards I was dealt forced me to be that. But again, remember, there are people who had cards like mine, who come from abusive situations, who come from unsupportive backgrounds, who unfortunately have not risen above that. And I think some more often than not is because it is hard to rise above such harsh conditions. And I never want to come across as this unicorn that is special and unique, but it's purely because I just stuck it out a bit more. And I believed, and I had this conversation with God and said, I believe I'm deserving of better than this. I'm deserving of greater things. And if no one's going to give it to me, I'm going to give it to myself. And, you know, sometimes people, though, are uncomfortable about that kind of confidence, and which amazes me, because it's people who get uncomfortable about other people's confidences. I'm like, okay, what is it about your confidence where you start getting uncomfortable about other people's? So anyway, look at this. The lamb is coming up nicely. So I'm just going to leave it a bit more. It's coming, it's looking really good. I always have to remember that I'm also cooking. So I'm gonna start with the potatoes now as well. But let me get another question. So yeah, some people are not comfortable about sorry, let me just do this. Some people are not comfortable about this notion that there are people, particularly women, who can be 100% independent and self-reliant. And yeah, no man is an island is a true story, but not everyone, no one's gonna live your life for you, you know. It's nice to have people around you who are for you, who support you, who believe in you, but in the absence of that, even when you have people around you who believe in yourself, it matters more that you believe in yourself, so that even if they fall by the wayside or something happens in their belief of you, because sometimes we disappoint people by not showing up the way they wanted us to show up, or doing things that they wanted us to do. And sometimes people just clap for you because it suits them, you know. So, but only you can be honest with yourself. And I had times in my life where I would question my self-reliance, because I had people around me who made it seem like there was something wrong with being so independent. But over the years, I mean, I kind of dealt with that in my 20s, and you grow into it, and into accepting that, in fact, I'd rather be this than not. And also, you know, and there's this notion in the world of dating where, no, independent women don't get the men they want because they're too independent, and they chase away men, and they're too aggressive, they're too this. I was just like, guys, these are all things that we decide to make up. These are things that, I don't think it's a matter of you are an independent woman. I just think you meet the wrong people, you know. So I also was in that boat until I met my husband. And around this time, 16 years ago, I met this dude, and in fact, he was just like, yo, your independence is the one thing I really am attracted to the most, you know? Yeah, of course, my cute face too. So ultimately, you know, the right people will find that your self-reliance is actually an asset, not just to them, to you, but to them as well. Because think about it, we have children. My husband can go away. He knows stuff is handled. He doesn't ever have to worry that, oh my gosh, my wife can't do this, or my wife won't be able to do that. You know, so and then I believe in relationships where both of us can rely. You are self-reliant, I'm self-reliant, but as a collective, we're a powerful force, because we are each comfortable in our own skin, and we each know what it is that we bring to the table and how we can go about navigating tough times. So if you are with people that find that your independence and being self-reliant is a problem, it means they are the problem. But also, I think that, you know, it's easy to fall into traps where we think that we don't need people. And that's something I had to deal with in my life. And it's probably something I'm still dealing with. And when I say dealing, it's not a problem, it's not an issue, but it's an awareness that I have that because I've grown, I was forced into a position where I had to dig deep and rely on myself and get myself out of the holes that I was in, that I found myself in, because I had the ability to rise above all of those things. I always think that, you know, the awareness that I have is that, yeah, what else do I need from people if I can do this thing myself? So my needing people becomes a very different conversation. So I don't need you to hold my hand. I don't need you to show me life. No, I can do that myself. But, you know, I need you to live your life in the best way that you can, to the best of your ability. And our paths cross and we have energy that connects and our purposes are aligned. You know, that's cool. But I don't need anyone to cheer me, to come baby, keep going. No, I jump out of bed, hey, I'm on it. But what has been a great blessing in my life is having my husband whom I can, because there are days when you're just like, yo, hi guys, it's hard being strong. And you're like, I've had to be strong all my life. Just for once, I just want to be like, I'm not strong at all. And it's nice to have someone in your life that can really like tell you that it's okay not to be so strong. Because some of us have had, that's how we've had to survive, is fight through hardship and see hardship as just obstacles that you need to fight and jump over. But it's nice, it really is nice to just have someone that says, ah, shit, man, I'm so, oh, pardon my language, Mr. YouTube. Someone will just say, I'm really sorry, things that are like that. Or they don't have to offer you a solution, they don't have to say anything to you to solve it, but it's just this appreciation that your load is not yours alone. And this is something that I'm still learning. Thank God I don't have a lot of load to deal with in my life. The ones I do have, I can handle. But then the ones where I'm like struggling, then now I actually talk to my husband. I'm like, and I talk to a friend, good friend, you know, and I say, this is actually, it gets to me, or, you know. So yeah, I think I've spent quite a bit of time on that. So I'm just gonna turn this around. You can see how beautiful it's looking. So I'm just gonna flip it. There we go. And I'm gonna put it in for another 25 minutes or so. My husband likes it quite pink, so I'll just make sure that we don't overcook it. All right, so where am I? I'm in the potatoes, but before the potatoes, let me come back to you. Lebu says, I got a job offer and accepted it. Upon accepting my offer, the company asked that I do MIE fingerprint checks for criminal records. I'm 36. When I was between 26 and 27, I was arrested for DUI, so drunk driving. Do you think I should be upfront with the company? Yes, you should be upfront with the company, because, and I mean, I'm in the job of employing people a lot for our clients, for our projects and projects that we run at clients. So with every person that we employ or contract, we have to do criminal checks, qualification checks, we have to do employment checks. Every single check you can think of, we have to do. So it is best to always be honest up front, because it doesn't matter what happens, you are going to be found out. But again, those offers are usually extended on condition that those checks come back clear. So even credit checks, that's one of the biggest things we're dealing with, where people's credits are proper shot and there's judgments left, right, center. So sometimes it's not so much that there aren't jobs, it's just people's standing is really compromised for various reasons, right? So without a shadow of doubt, be upfront about it, because it's gonna come out anyway. And once it comes out, it's like, why didn't you disclose this? So the honesty and truth upfront is always best, because what then happens is whoever is handling that employment discussion for you is able to talk on your behalf upfront and say, listen, there's a situation here, and yeah, it's something that really breaks my heart. And I have to say to people that are watching this, whatever you choose to get involved in, just know that there are consequences. So, and I'm not at all judging why you got arrested or have a record, because it can happen to a lot of people. I mean, and I want to talk about some of the reasons outside of, you know, a drunk driving or any other scenario, or finding yourself in a fight, or, you know, things like protests. Do you know how difficult it is to get you a job if you have a criminal record? And we deal a lot with financial services, and there are times when you can explain, but you can explain credit record, you can explain that someone didn't have a job and they couldn't pay their commitments, but trying to explain a criminal record is near impossible. We have probably had, in the 10 years that my business, what's this, 22, 9 years that my business has existed, we've only been able to hire one person with a criminal record, because they were at a bar and there was a brawl and he was part of it and he got arrested, right? And he says he didn't start it, but he was there when it happened and was part of it, but he got arrested. So even that, you had to jump through hoops, get affidavit, get the police to clear it, get, you know, all sorts of things that you have to go through. So I'm just saying, whatever your cause is, just think carefully about how you go about it, because it really, really can damage your chances of changing your life. And that's what jobs do. They give you an opportunity to change your life. But if somehow you found yourself in a tough spot like that, you just own up to it and declare upfront. And in some scenarios, you are able to get it. You get the sentence suspended, or the arrest if it's a long time ago. There's something that you can do with the police, but honestly, even when I go out and I have a couple of drinks, I mean, it's like, the things that can go wrong if I get arrested for drunk driving. And remember, with our cops, and I've been there, with our cops, whether you had one drink or two drinks, sometimes it's just like they don't care. They want what they want from you. If you're not giving it to them, you are going to find yourself in deep trouble. So that's why I'm saying it's easy for it to happen to anyone, because we are unfortunately also not exactly dealing with always honest officials. So, and I found myself in a situation like that a couple of years ago, where it was the most traumatic thing. I wasn't arrested or anything, but you know, they were forcing me into a corner where I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That is unethical and illegal. If you think I've done something wrong, take me to jail. But to be honest, I didn't want to be taken to jail. I was just saying that because I wanted to show them that I'm not going to be intimidated by them. But the truth is that you just stay safe. If you go out, even if you tell yourself I'm not going to drink, chances are if you go out with your friends, you might end up drinking. So just catch an Uber. Just be safe. Have someone pick you up. If you find yourself somewhere and you end up having a lunch that turns boozy, leave your car there and just go home in a taxi or something, because the impact of these things, I mean, if I had to be arrested for anything, I know to be shy, not just with me, but with a lot of people, because I have a lot of people that depend on me. You know, in my business, in the charities that I support, in my family, you know. So yeah, and listen, I'm sorry you have that situation, but you have to be upfront about it. You have to be honest about it. Okay, let's take another one. I'm gonna just show you now what I do with the potatoes, but let's just see. Lerato says they enjoy the vacation posts. Yeah, I know. I also enjoy them, but I don't want to make people feel small. Nangula says, good morning, Amanda. My boss is very toxic and she's doing, and she is doing everything to put me under pressure all the time. How does someone cope in this situation? She probably wants me to resign. Dealing with a toxic boss is probably one of the worst things you have to deal with in life, honestly. I just think it's just so unnecessary because it can cause so much stress on you. What I always say though, if you're in a situation where you think your boss is trying to get rid of you, start being that person that owns your career. I think a lot of people don't own their careers. They just leave it to managers and leave it to chance. Own your career. Start, go to your job description, start talking about what the expectations are, and make sure that, because that happens every year, you get performance managed. Every year you do performance reviews. So own that process and say, okay, so what is it that I am not doing well, so that I focus on it. So you do it not with a defensive stance, but more with, I need to be prepared if anything happens. But you mustn't let on that that's what you're trying to do. You must be a subservient employee, an obedient employee, and start to own your career, actually, like genuinely, not because you're trying to prepare yourself for anything, but actually that is what you should do anyway. And start saying, okay, so this is my job, this is what I'm expected, okay. And she must also sign up, she or he must sign up on the expectations, that this is what I expect from you. And you go about making sure you meet those expectations. Because also, if you don't meet the expectations, yeah, you put yourself in a position where you kind of, they have to get rid of you. So I appreciate how awful that is, and how awful that must be, but own your career. And you know what? Even if HR may not seem like they are your friend, make sure that if you are feeling you're being treated unfairly, you use the channels available to you. Because if you don't use them and they're not aware of what may have happened or what has been happening, then you don't have a leg to stand on, because you can't suddenly say, I'm being treated like this. They're like, but why haven't you said anything over a period of time? So you must own your career. Don't expect your manager to do it for you. In fact, I think you should always be thinking your manager is going to get rid of you at some point. So from the onset, and think about it, when it comes time for rewards, so for bonuses and increases, if you get there and they say you're not getting anything, you don't have a leg to stand on if you haven't been managing the process yourself. Because you must think, okay, if I meet these expectations, I'm at least guaranteed the 13th check. If I exceed, at least, so be familiar with those things and work towards that stuff. And if you are really struggling with a manager, you are an employee with rights. And I don't understand why people always think the manager is the only one with rights. You have rights too. So exercise them, talk to somebody. And even if you are afraid to go to HR and fear victimization, talk to someone that you trust within the organization and see how they can help you navigate the situation. Because that's the one thing I know, there's always someone that can help you. And yeah, so I think that just also make sure your part is handled. Okay guys, I'm just gonna do, let me quickly show you now. I'm just gonna do these potatoes. And how I make my potato bake, and I'm gonna come back to the questions now, just give me a moment. So I cook the potatoes until they are soft. So literally soft. And I cook them with the skin because that's where all the nutrients are. So if you prefer them without a skin, then it's okay. You can just peel them, but either way, I prefer them with the skin. And then, so that's some black pepper, and then some pink salt. Any salt is fine. Just use some salt. Then what I do is I use pouring cream. So I use, and this is room temperature, so you don't even have to keep it in the fridge. I use that, but like a bit of it. And then I also then add some milk Just give me a moment. Okay, then some milk, just to make sure that it's nice and soft, not too hard. So then I just mash the potatoes. Okay, I need more heat, so just give me a moment. Okay, so I'm gonna mash this and just put it back on the heat so that the milk and the cream just reduced a bit more. So I'll show you what that will look like when I'm done. Okay, so we let that reduce a bit. Then let's check on our lamb. Okay. Yeah, I think another 15 minutes and I'll take that out. The beets are roasting, and I'm probably gonna say we'll take the beets. You can roast for about 40 minutes, but you must just check if they're soft. So I'm gonna keep those there for a bit more. So you put them until they're soft. But what I do with the beets, I'll tell you. Once they're finished roasting and they're nice and soft, and they mustn't be too soft, so you must still have a touch of crunch. And then I just cut them in halves. And the reason I do that, I roast them whole so that all the nutrients are captured. They stay within the skin, and then within the beet itself. Then cut them in half, and then what I do is I add some fresh dill. Dill is herbs, so this is dill. So I'll add some fresh dill. I add some goat's cheese. There we go, some goat's cheese. And then what I also then do is add balsamic vinegar. But I prefer making my own reduction. So I prefer making my own balsamic reduction, which is quite easy. You just boil it and let it reduce, but you stir. It's a bit technical. It's like making custard. But you don't want it to be as thick as custard. So I make my own, or you can actually buy it from the store. I like these two. So I use a balsamic vinaigrette sometimes. So literally just sprinkle this over the beetroot. Don't use vinegar, guys. Please, let's move on with the times. Don't use white vinegar. I mean, you know which one I'm talking about. That one you just like, ah. So you can use a balsamic vinaigrette, or you can use, this is it's like a balsamic reduction store-bought. But I mean, you can see I haven't really used it. I prefer making my own. But today I'm going to use the vinaigrette. And the vinaigrette is really largely olive oil and balsamic vinegar. And they put sometimes herbs. And then I'm also boiling water. So I'll tell you what I'm also serving it with. I'm gonna add, so with the beetroot, I'm gonna roast these as well in the beetroot. So now that we are heading towards finishing the cooking process, I'll do that. And what I do with these is just, I'll rinse them now, just chop them in half. Then you add them, but they do roast much quicker than the beets, so you wanna do that as the last thing. Then I'm gonna be serving with Brussels sprouts as well. Brussels sprouts, as well as one thing. So these are my greens for today. Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and some edamame beans. And what I do, the most important things, Brussels sprouts, you'll see they cook very quickly. Not as quick as like asparagus, but I prefer making them on the hob. So I let them steam a bit for maybe about 5 minutes with olive oil, and then I let them fry, if I can put it that way, fry. But you can also roast them in the oven, but I prefer making them that way, as well as the asparagus. The trick with asparagus, you have to rinse the spears, the tips, because they are so sandy. I mean, last week I made asparagus. I had to rinse it literally 9 times. And I rinse it with hot water. So it's almost like you soak the asparagus in hot water. And it's a beautiful vegetable. It's very expensive, but the sand is probably the most annoying thing. And there's nothing that irks me more than sandy asparagus. But also, these vegetables are very easy to cook. I don't add a lot of stuff to my food. I like to prepare the food in its natural form as much as I can. So I literally just pan fry with olive oil, and then I add pepper and salt, and then just lemon juice. That's it. And you can just spray lemon before you serve it. Not before, because sometimes it can turn brown. And then for the sauce, today I'm gonna make, the sauce is, I'm using wild mushrooms. I love these mushrooms. They are so tasty. So you've got shiitake mushrooms, you've got sijing, what's it? Wait, what's the name? Shimeji mushrooms. And so it's a mix of king oyster mushroom and shimeji and shiitake mushrooms, wild mushrooms. They're really beautiful. You must try them. And they make the best sauce. So I'll show you how I make my mushroom sauce. So my family doesn't like mint sauce. Like a lot of people serve lamb with mint sauce. My family doesn't like mint sauce, so I don't make it. I don't like it either. And then in fact, I don't really like food. I eat because I have to live. But I do what I have to. Some people, you can also make a nice raspberry sauce. Oh, these are my potatoes, guys. They're looking good. So I'll just mash them some more. But these are looking really good. So yeah, some people like it with raspberry sauce or cherry or plum. So that's where we are now with my potatoes. Now, just gonna prep them for the oven. But firstly, what I'll do, I add some hard cheese. Yeah. So this is just white hard cheese. Any white hard cheese. As you can see, I said this is not a cooking show, so I'm just cooking. Don't ask me how much must I put, what's the measurement. I don't measure anything, I just cook. What I'll also put in here is some garlic butter. So I'll take a little bit, just put some garlic butter. Just a touch, doesn't have to be a lot. Okay, so I mix that. So white hard cheese, garlic butter. I've added some fresh cream, some milk to just keep it nice and smooth, soft. We don't want mashed a potato bake that's like baba. So yeah, you just mix that till everything is looking good. What I'll do before I serve it, I'll add some fresh parsley from my garden. But for now, I'll add just some dried parsley. And I love dried parsley. I don't really hold back on it, so just mix that. Okay, I'll come to your questions in a moment. Okay, now I'm gonna put that in a roasting pan. Okay, so Add this. Almost there, give me a moment. Okay. And this is so yummy. You just have to, what I didn't do is put salt, because you know sometimes the meat gets salty and the sauce gets salty, so you choose where you're gonna put your salt, where you're gonna add the salt. But this is when I cooked it. What did I put here? Nah, I didn't put any salt here. But when I was boiling them, I did add a bit of that's so good. I did add a bit of black pepper. Okay, here we go. So then I add Parmesan shavings. So some Parmesan shavings, but like we can just be liberal about it. Let me show you. Okay, so you just spread this over. It's already tasting so yum. Don't be afraid to spread quite a bit of it. So I use because with Parmesan you can never go wrong. It's just so tasty. And then we'll put this in the oven for about, actually till the cheese browns and you can see the sides are nicely brown. And that will be the potato bake done. So I'll put it in the oven in a bit. See, that's it. But it is yum. I love it. Okay, so I've boiled some water, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to soak the asparagus for a moment in some water. And if you soak it in boiling water, just know you'll at some point before you put it in the pan, you'll just run it under cold water to stop that heating process. But you know, to be honest, you cook them in like 5 minutes. You don't want to overcook the asparagus. So here are the spears, and what I'll do, I'll just put them in a cup like this. Okay, and then I add some hot water. And I let them stand for a while. So I'm just soaking those spears so that we get rid of the sand. Okay, I think the lamb should be good, so let me take it out. Yeah, that's looking good, okay? So what I'll do, I'll just turn it around. Just give me a moment. Let me clear my working surface here. This is going to go in the oven. Okay. Hope you're with me. So this is looking really good now. So I'll just turn it around. And then we just get a nice coating going here for just another 15 minutes, and then it's done. We let it stand. You must never serve meat straight from the oven. Let it stand so that the juices soak into the meat, and let the juices settle. So I'd say, yeah, another 15 minutes here. We get that nice crunchy coating going. Okay, our asparagus are going. What I'll do now is just prepare the carrots to add to the beetroot. Just rinse this. Okay, there we go. All right, I hope you are following. All right, so let me take some more questions, guys. So yes, so please don't resign, because if someone is trying to force you out, that's what they want. So they'll make your life miserable. But just own your career. Make sure that they don't just get their way. That's what I can offer. Okay, let's see. Victoria's daughter says, my comment on you putting pressure unintended is that as much as you might put pressure on some people on your platform, in my opinion, anyone who follows you and content you put out, and the content you put out, would know that your intentions are pure, and that is teaching the people growth. I mean, LOL, you have an entire series on your channel dedicated to teaching and bringing us to light and about therapy, healing, and self-development. Overall, I understand the duality, the yin and the yang of everything we put out. Till now, we are inspired to see that a good and healthy is obtainable for all of us. Thank you for paving the way to see its possibilities and realities. If an individual is pressured, that's on them. Please continue. You cannot make someone feel pressure. If you can only awaken that it's up to them what they do with that information. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. And I get it, right? So I think at a logical level, we all get it. But I'm becoming cognizant of what it is that I contribute to as well. So I probably won't stop about the vacations, but they'll probably be a bit pulled back. Let's do away with the first class photos, shall we? Which, by the way, is the best part for me of my vacations. Because I work so hard for that ticket, y'all. I was saying to my husband, actually, I think I've been moaning the entire December because, I put in so much in the year. I work so hard. And I do that because I know at the end of not at the end of the year, but my vacations are those things that help me break the year. So I have to have quarterly vacations. I have to do a short left. I have to do all those things because that's what helps me stay sane and keep giving. So the fact that I couldn't, and the fact that for the last 2 years, our travel plans have had to be changed and halted. Yeah, we do local travel. I mean, that's not even a debate. But the point is that I'm a person that wants to explore. I want to go to places that I've never been to. I want to go to places that people don't expect me to go to, because that's where I get to experience other people. I get to experience different kinds of living, different kinds of ways. And for me, vacations don't start when I get there. They start when I leave the house. In fact, they start when I'm planning them. And that whole build up and the excitement, but anyway, listen, it'll come back. So yeah. Lindila says, good morning, Amanda. As a businesswoman, is it advisable to accelerate the growth? Sorry, where is that? Is it advisable to accelerate the growth of your business by injecting all your personal savings or allowing the business to grow organically over time? So it depends on what kind of business and how you generate your revenue. For example, I put all my money into my business when I started my business 9 years ago. I even cashed out money from my pension fund, and I put it into the business. Now, somebody else, a financial planner might tell you, don't do that, it's risky. But I'm an entrepreneur, I live on risk, I thrive on risk. So when you tell me this is risky, I'm like, ooh, let's talk. So it's about what kind of business is it. And if you put in your personal savings, that's a good thing because it shows you believe in it. It also shows that you're willing to risk your last cent in it. And that's belief. And the question then is, when would you see a return? When would you start seeing the money come in? Because your personal savings have to be paid back. So again, it really just depends on your circumstances. If you can't afford to do that, you shouldn't do it. Let the business grow organically. So whilst I'm saying I did put money in it, my business grew organically. I never had any funding. Organic growth could be that you put in a little bit and then that little bit yields more, and that money that you've yielded then yields more money, and that's how you want the business to grow. But depending on what kind of business it is, I think there's more sustainability in organic growth than if you go and acquire a business or partner up with someone who's going to put funding. By the way, organic growth has nothing to do with the way you fund your business. Organic growth is how your business grows. So be it all on your own, by itself, you keep going on your you keep going selling your service or your product, or if you partner up or acquire. But organic funding your business could be like what we are dealing with at the moment. So just do what you believe is right for yourself. If you can't afford to put all your personal savings into a business, don't do it. So I always say that in the pursuit of our business interests, we should never be irresponsible with our families. So for example, if you have children that go to school and fees must be paid, it's irresponsible to take all your money and put it into a business. And there's no such thing as a sure return in business. You have to wait. There's a process. Even these scammers, by the way, if you are here from Facebook, just know whoever's contacted you on Facebook is not me. They steal my content on IG and post it there. So just so you know, I always have to have that disclaimer. I will never contact you for anything. I won't contact you for money. I won't contact you for investments because I'm not in any of these investments anyway. So anyway, so people can tell you, oh yeah, your money can grow faster. It won't. Your children need to go to school. Make sure your children go to school. We can't be irresponsible with our dreams all in the name of we're chasing our dreams. No. So I'm saying that if you can afford to use your savings to grow your business, do it. If you can't, don't do it. Rather wait and play the long game. I played the long game, to be honest. I only acquired a business to add to my business in 2017. That was 3 years after I had started my business. And in that position, when I was in that position to acquire, I was also in a position to get funded because I didn't want funding to begin with. But I had a client, AXA, my client, still my top client. They paid me up front for projects that we had to do. So in a way, that was organic growth for the business. It's services that we were providing and that we were going to provide that we ended up fortunately getting paid for early. So look, those are looking so good now. So I'm just gonna add the carrots and I like the fact that the beets actually taste, they give a bit of a red tint to the beets, to the carrots. I mean. So guys, trying to think and cook at the same time. It's a challenge, but here we go. So I'm just going to take out my lamb now because it's looking really good. So I will let the lamb stand. So stand there for a while I move up the beets. And then I'm going to put the potato bake. So I've got, I like to maximize power, so I'll use one oven most of the time if I can. But that oven is far now from here, so I'll just keep using this one. All right, so I'm going to show you now with my asparagus. I'm sure you won't be able to see, but if you look here, the water is quite dirty. It's got a bit of sand. Sometimes you get unlucky and get really sandy ones, like I did last week. But largely you have to rinse them at least about twice, depending on how much sand there is. And then what I'll do now in the meanwhile is start with the Brussels sprouts as well. But I'm also that person, I don't like to cook I don't like to cook food and then let it stand cold. So I like to cook and dish up straight from the stove, from the pot. I don't like food that gets warmed up. Oh, it's my pet hate. Yeah, so I will do these. Okay, I think I'm good with these now. I'll just rinse them under cold water so that they don't keep going soft. All right, I'm good with the asparagus, so we'll just leave them there. I'm gonna rinse some Brussels sprouts, but let me see another question. So yeah, I mean, I think I've answered that as Lindile. It depends on your circumstances. But we're not in the business of being irresponsible. So if you can put your personal savings in, put them. If you can't afford to, don't do it. Rather pace yourself, rather let the business grow organically, rather keep delivering a good service to loyal customers who keep coming time and again. Then you know that you are growing bit by bit. And then Avuza says, next time add salt in your water while soaking them. What, the asparagus? I generally don't cook it with salt. So what does the salt do? Tell me. Nobantu says, umyeni wakho ngumXhosa okanye umZulu, ngubani isiduko sakhe? Is your husband Xhosa? My husband is Xhosa, yes. Loretta says, please send ingredients on Saturday for next session. I told you this is not a cooking show. For the next session, I only have potatoes and cream for the potato dish. Well, the aim wasn't for you to cook what I'm cooking. I was the cooking one. No, man, this is not a cooking show. I'm not a cooking chef. I'm just cooking lunch for my family. So you follow and then you try it next time. It's not for you to cook now. Well, how are you going to hear me when you're busy cooking? I'm joking. I hope you're cooking because it's almost time for your families to eat. All right, let me get another question or continue with the cooking. Lebo says, thank you for the advice. Beyonce has Beehive. Rihanna has the Navy. Amanda has the Amandians. That's funny. Okay, Abuza says the salt helps with removing the sand. Okay, cool. Thanks. I'll try that next time. Okay, so let me get on with. I'm just going to rinse the Brussels sprouts. Just pop your questions in there. But yeah, I think some of the things that I've been thinking about, and I can share that right now, is that, I think that a lot of people lack the courage to live their lives, and this is something that I've kind of been observing, and I've been sorry, just one moment. I've been observing all around, and I've been talking to people about. In fact, my retreat in Botswana in the beginning of February is titled Courageous Living, because I think that a lot of the questions I get from people, and not necessarily from today, a lot of the questions I get from people are questions where people are unsure of their lives, unsure, are afraid to take risks, are afraid to live, are afraid to boldly live their lives. And often it's because we've come from largely cultural backgrounds where so much permission is required for people to do things, and especially when you're a woman. And those are cultural things that we do carry with us a lot. And I find that, the more courage we can have. In fact, I don't know, if you don't think you're courageous, you should just look at what you've endured in the last 2 years. And I'm not talking about what else you've endured over your lifetime, but just in the last 2 years, the amount of resilience we've had to dig into, the amount of resilience that has been built in us over time. Because resilience is not something that is built when you're having a good time and chilling by the beach. It's when the hardest times are hitting. And it's something to never underestimate, how much courage it has taken to just keep going, to not have your head in the sand and hope for the best, but to just keep going every single day. So I hope that we have more courage this year to just keep going and keep doing what we need to do and keep living our lives and not give in. I mean, for as long as you are still alive, you still have an opportunity to live your dreams and change your life. And that's something that is so important. It's so important to never lose sight of where you've come from. And I think you get more courage through that. You get more courage through just checking where you've come from, how much you've already achieved, and how much you've actually managed to rise above, and the things that you are continuously learning. And it's something that we just can never underestimate. And even when you're unsure, I mean, courage is not the fact that you are not afraid, or sorry, I have to take this off. Oh, the cow is hot on me. So it's not that you are not afraid, or you always know what you're doing. No, it's a mix of things. Sometimes you really don't know, but you just trust the fact that you will take the lessons you need to learn every step of the way. So courageous living is not just about I know what the outcome is going to be. No, it's actually when you don't know, but when you're willing to just go for it anyway, and there's great achievement in knowing that every step I take is a step that's fueled by faith, and whatever your faith is, to me has nothing to do with religion. It's just that sense of believing in things that you don't see, but the things that you feel, you know that even if things go wrong, you will bounce back. And if we all just tackle life with that kind of attitude that says, I'm not always going to get things right, things aren't always going to go my way, but I'm willing to try, I'm willing to push ahead and do this thing, then I think more and more of us will go out there and do the things that terrify them the most. Because when you are guaranteed not to fail, what's the reason for you not to get up and do it? So if your mind if you start telling your mind that I'm not failing, that I'm doing my best, or I'm trying, or this is the best I can do, then there is no failure in that, because you've given it your best. I think failure is when you haven't given it your best. For me, that's failure. Outcomes are outcomes. We don't always get the outcomes we wish for. Anyway, I know I'm starting to preach, but I've been preaching anyway. But I think that to me is what matters. And that's how I go about living my life. It's not because I have everything laid out and I have everything planned and I know exactly what's going to happen. I know what the outcome is going to be. No, I just have faith in myself. I have faith that God is leading me in the right direction. Sometimes I go about doing things that I think, okay, this is the right thing to do. And the intent is always the right one. So where the intent is right, there's always learning. Even if the outcome is not what I hoped for, even if I get disappointed. That's part of life. You can't shield yourself from disappointment all the time. You can't. You have to live, Okay, so I just, with the spears, I cut off the back side because I don't like it. And I'm gonna put this just before I get rid of just before the sprouts are good. You can see there are, I've put some olive oil in there. So what I'm gonna do, touch of water, and then I'm gonna close. So I'll close the pot and let it cook for a couple of minutes. With vegetables, you must just not overcook them because then you lose all the nutrients. But I also don't like vegetables that are undercooked because they're just a bit depressing. So everything is looking good here. So I'll show you now. Let me just see if there's a question. Then we can start with the sauce. Okay, Slindile says, amen, thank you so much. Cheers to courageous living. No, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that I've really summarized or surmised from all my conversations with people, from the mentorship I've been doing with people, from observing people, is that there's a lot of fear, and rightfully so, I guess. But think about it. I think we'll regret more the opportunities we didn't seize in life. We'll regret more the things we didn't try in life than, just sit and be safe. The only thing we should be wanting to be safe from is probably COVID at this stage, but not our dreams. We must go out there and chase our dreams. We must go out there and boldly live, because if today was the last day we had on earth, the question is, how would you think you've shown up for yourself? So Stembiso says, do you sometimes feel confused about maybe the season you're at in your life? And if you feel that way, how do you stay focused and encouraged to continue the walk? I had a moment like that last year. So late last year, in fact, I think most of last year, from about mid to the end to about November, I think, I was just in a state of just like paused. But the pause wasn't, I'm pausing because I just need a break. No, it was pause because I'm just like, I was feeling so many things, so many confusing things, and I had so I was in a bit of there was a bit of turmoil inside of me, but the turmoil was brought on by many different questions around, business. What do I want to continue doing? The work that I do outside of business, how much of it do I want to continue doing? So a lot of questions and I was just a bit unsettled. But also, I think there was a lot of some level of discouragement or being discouraged in a way, because so much was going around, and I think it was just after my friend Lillian also got very, very ill from COVID. I mean, I had dealt with my husband being very ill from COVID earlier in the year, and then mid-year I had to deal with my bestie being gravely ill from COVID. So I think all of those hit me, and I started to feel very unstable. And I remember when I was doing a project for a client, and I had brought in Eric Kruger. Eric Kruger is a leadership coach, and he did a session. We were doing a session with top leaders in my client's division, and Eric talked about transitions. He talked about the fact that the different phases that we may find ourselves in, and he talked about the wilderness. That before a transition, before a change, you may find yourself in the wilderness, and in the wilderness things are not clear. There's confusion. There's uncertainty. There's discomfort. And that day, I remember. In fact, I attended that session when I was in Mozambique with my family on vacation. That day, I felt like a load has been lifted off my shoulders, because he gave what I was feeling a name. He gave it a name. And I was like, that's it. I'm in the wilderness. Because even before he started that session, we were just chatting and checking in with each other. And I said to him that, and he said, yeah, you know, all these plans he had. And I said, yeah, I have no plans. And he's like, oh, really? That's like really? And I said, yeah, I have no plans, and I have no desire and I have no desire to have plans. I'm like, in fact, I'm thinking about my business, but I also just like, I don't really care. Like, not right now. I'm just like, so, and he said to me, it's interesting. Literally that session he delivered was about exactly how I was feeling. Where I was like, I wasn't even thinking, oh, in the new year, how am I going to look after my people in terms of, you know, do we work full time from home or exchange? I wasn't caring at all. I was just like, I have no interest in anything. I had no interest. So he gave it a name. He said, you know, when you're in the wilderness, there's confusion is reigning, discomfort, but it's actually such a great opportunity because you are transitioning. And I felt myself, the moment I could actually confront what it was, I started to feel myself differently. I was like, that's what it is. It's a wilderness, and it's temporary. It doesn't last forever. It's just a temporary state where, but I always talk about these things. I talk about when your life is ready for change, when you move to the next level, how uncomfortable it is. But I didn't have the word that he had. And this is the beauty sometimes of also listening in on some of the things that people do, you know, things that people say. I mean, professionals who are really good at what they do, yes, that's what I mean. So Eric Kruger he coaches leaders, and he just like hit it on the nail for me. And I was like, wow, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So sometimes we are obviously really great at articulating for others what it should be. And in that moment, I needed someone to help me articulate it for myself. And all he said to me was just that one word, and I felt I was in the wilderness. And to be honest, it was quite an emotional time for me at that time. And around that moment when I realized what it was, I felt quite emotional about it. But I think the emotion was also the fact that I had carried so much throughout the year. I carry so much, like I'm that person, I carry and carry and carry. But there are times when you actually just have to release it and say, I'm not carrying anything right now. So I was in that wilderness, and I was processing. I was processing a lot. And that's what that did for me. So yeah, I do feel I do have those moments, but I don't have a lot of those moments all the time. It happens when I'm transitioning. It happens when I'm growing, when I'm becoming something else, you know, because I'm not the same person I was yesterday. You know, I'm not, even some of these things that I post, you know, and I talk about vacation particularly around how people feel, but also it's about me as well. It's about what I believe I want to do, how I want to show up, and how I want to use my platforms. And it's growth, that's what it is. And growth is uncomfortable. We all know that. Growth is uncomfortable. So yeah, I do feel confused sometimes. And somebody says, do you have a vision board? No, I don't. I've never done a vision board in my life. And same person says, how do you save money? Huh? How do you save money? Do you save per transaction or at the end of the year after profits? I don't understand that question. Save per transaction, what does that mean? And is this personal money or is this business money? Please ask the question again. So I don't understand save per transaction. What transaction? So yeah, but I've got a wealth manager, so I've got people that manage my money, and business money. Okay, business money. I still don't know what you mean save per transaction, but let me talk about what I do in my business. And I'm not in Forex, I'm not in crypto, I'm not in Bitcoin, I'm not in any of those things. I run a project management business. One of the businesses I run, that's the one. That's my primary business. So first of all, the money in the business belongs to the business. I have an employer-employee relationship with my company, so I get a salary like everybody on the same day. Yeah, the amount is not the same. Somebody must be compensated for risk and leading. But yeah, so I earn a salary and I get paid, I pay my taxes accordingly. And the money that belongs to the business is money to run the business. And the business has its own investment accounts for excess cash. At the end of the year, profits are distributed to the shareholders. Some years, the profits are not distributed because the business maybe didn't do as well as we hoped, or we've got, when I say we, me, myself, and I, and that, you know, there's other things that we that I want to do with the money, invest, hire more people, or you know, so distributing profits, distributing dividends is not something that happens every year. It depends on what the state of the business is. But as a rule, a business must pay its shareholders dividends because shareholders invest in the business. So if you own a business, you've got these multiple different relationships with the business, and those relationships are dictated by their own terms. So as an employee, you cannot take money from the business. You are stealing it if it's not accounted for. If you take money from the business as an employee of the business, it needs to be accounted as a loan, and you need to pay taxes on it. That's how it is. So stop taking money from your businesses. And then profits, yeah, you can decide to reinvest those back into the business or pay them out to shareholders. Shareholders must be paid so that they stay happy and engaged. That's how it works. So look at my sprouts now, guys. They're perfectly cooked now, and they've browned nicely. So I quite like how they look. I'm gonna season those with black pepper, salt, a touch of salt, and then once these, I will make them the same way, and then I add the edamame. So I'll serve these on the same platter. So the Brussels sprouts, the asparagus, and edamame, these are already, they're pre-cooked, so you just add them for heat. So I'm good with the Brussels, and I'm just gonna put those here. I'm just gonna show you how I make the sauce, because I think that's something important. Okay. Actually, I also, just so you know, before I serve the potatoes, the baked potato, I'll add some chives, fresh chives. Those are quite nice. So fresh chives and some fresh parsley. Then Bob is your uncle. Then I'm just gonna make the sauce. So what I do with, so I'm just, I got lost. Sorry, I got lost there for a moment. I'm heating up the pan, and what I'm gonna do is just chop some onions. The onions is for the mushroom sauce. You can do the sauce without the onions, but I quite like the onion taste. In fact, I don't know how anyone cooks without onions. It's so nice to cook with. Don't like them raw. I don't eat them raw. I'll die. But I will certainly like cooking. I'm gonna chop these finely. I'm not doing anything mind shattering. Just make sure these are quite nice and thinly chopped. Okay, let's see if there's another question whilst I chop these. Let's see. Okay. Kutala says, thank you for giving a name to what I have been envisioning for my year ahead and beyond, courageous living. Thank you. Yeah, so I just maybe want to come back to that point about the vision board. So I've never done a vision board for myself. I also don't really tell anyone to do vision boards, but remember, in life you have to do what feels right with you, what works for you. I have a very photographic mind, and I'm always anything I set my mind on, I go about it, I achieve it. I don't need any reminders about it because I'm so focused and set on what I need to do. So I don't get lost in my life. I don't get distracted by other things. I focus on what I need to do. So for the sauce, I've just added some olive oil, heated the pan, olive oil, and then I'm adding some garlic butter. And mushrooms do suck up a lot of the oils, so you can just add more as you see fit. There's nothing unhealthy about that. Must just use the right stuff. All right, so I'll also then just add some garlic. I'll show you what it will look like now. I do love garlic. There's things I can't cook without: onions, garlic, black pepper, and salt. Olive oil, of course. For me, that's cooking. Okay, I'm gonna quickly add because usually I fry the onions first and then add the garlic, but what I want here is the onions not to be over fried. So I'll show you now what's looking good. And then mushrooms, you don't submerge them in water. So don't wash mushrooms. All you people that always want to wash things, don't wash mushrooms. You can just wipe them. Wherever there's dirt, you just wipe them. So this is the king oyster mushroom. And what I'll do is just chop it up into little pieces. Not too little because I want the sauce to still have chunky mushrooms in it. So not too fine, just enough to still be able to chunk them, or well, eat them in your mouth. So I'll just add those and let them cook with the onion. Because the oyster mushrooms actually cook much longer than the others, so I just get the king oyster mushroom in first. I'll show you what it looks like. Let me take out. Okay. Okay. So I'll show you now these are all the finals since we are closing our session soon. So this is my beets and carrots. So when I serve these, I'm going to add the dill, and then I'm going to add goat's cheese as well as some chives. Yeah, and then the balsamic, the thick balsamic. So you can do that for yourselves, because I'm going to close this session shortly. And these beets have cooked perfectly. They are nice and crunchy still. You hungry? It is on the shirt. Okay. All right, so we let that be. Then I'll also show you what the potato bake now looks like. So these king oyster mushrooms are cooking, along with the garlic and the. But you're not inside. My husband is having conscious issues. All right, so this question says, and this sorry, I'm saying a lot of things at once. And Nambika says, would you advise someone to take on a role they have no experience in and learn on the job? Yeah, of course. Why not? All these jobs people occupy, they once had no experience in them. So go for it. Of course, 100%. How you go about it, I guess, is the question, because you need to identify what the gap is. If experience, is it just experience, or is it skill as well? But yeah, no, I mean, no expert became an expert overnight. Everyone starts with that experience, so you must just go for it. I did do a session on mentorship on Vastly Sage, where someone was transitioning from a career or another job to a new one, where they didn't have experience. So I think just watch that. It will give you a sense of how you go about it. But yes, my advice would be definitely go for it. Okay, so I'm just chopping up the shiitake mushrooms. I think there's a shiitake mushrooms there. My daughters are obsessed with mushrooms. Actually, one wants to study mycology, study of mushrooms. Every time we're out in the countryside, they're always studying mushrooms. They track mushrooms. It's very sweet. Okay, so I've added the other mushrooms, and you can see they suck up all the oils. But the thing with mushrooms, when you cook them at high heat, they'll suck up the oils. But when you drop the heat, then they get very juicy, very, very juicy. So you must just be clear about what you're trying to achieve. All right, so I think I did answer that. Another question is, do I do business with the state as in tenders? No, I don't do that. Hi, Amanda, love all the way from Dublin, Ireland. Hello. Okay, so I don't do business with the state. I don't do business with the public sector. I don't do business with the SOEs. I only do business in the private sector because it's what I know how to do. I get a bit uncomfortable with the ways of doing business in those worlds, in those industries. So it's not my world, and I don't operate in it. Strangely, when I left corporate, I wanted to help the government with some of the service delivery issues through project management. I soon realized, nah, no. All my clients are private sector clients. Okay, Amanda, you're so bold and courageous. From your book, Baked in Pain, you made me ask myself, how bad do I want it? And what keeps you going? Faith, reaching your goal, never giving up? Yeah, it's all of the above. My faith really keeps me grounded. Okay, guys, so I'm gonna add the remaining mushrooms. I think it's shimeji mushrooms. You must cook them well because they've got quite a rubbery taste if they're not cooked. So just so you see. And I'm gonna add a little bit more olive oil. And this is, I'm towards the end of my session. So yeah, my faith keeps me grounded. My faith is in my spiritual relationship with God, and spiritual relationship to everything that God has created, you know, nature, and just that keeps me so grounded. But also, I keep myself going. I really push myself to achieve what I want to achieve because I believe I deserve it, you know. I deserve to have a great life. I deserve to work for that life and enjoy it. I deserve to have a great family life. I deserve, so all of these things are things that keep me going. I deserve to be able to build the success of my life so that I can help other people, you know, because you can't help anyone if you haven't helped yourself, you know. So yeah, everything I do matters to me. Everything I do is grounded in doing the things that God wants me to do. I'm truly grounded in being led by God, and also just actually achieving the things that I want to achieve myself, you know. And thankfully, there's no misalignment between what God calls me for and the things I end up doing. So yeah. But I'm that person that doesn't need external motivation. I just I go. I jump out of bed and I achieve things. So I would say that, you know, it depends on what you are about, what you believe you are here for. And that is what drives you. And that is what, you know, it's your why. Why? You know, I'm always saying, what is your why? So that is what then pushes you. It's what grounds you. And I want to, when I leave this earth, I will leave nothing undone, unsaid, you know. There'll be zero regrets because every single day I live my life as though it's the last one, as though I'm not going to have another one again. So yeah, those things, for me, it's important. But it's important to have a very clear vision for your life. And if you put that on a vision board, then great. But be clear about what it is that you are about. What is your life about? What is your purpose? Why do you think you are here? And all of those things I've actually done quite a few sessions on them here on this channel. So if you haven't watched the mentorship sessions, please do. And I've filed them under the playlist mentorship. So let's see. Almost done now, guys, so because we're running over. Morning, Amanda. Thank you for these enlightening sessions. I'm just here to learn, grow, and become better at me. And become better me as a better me as I'm going through transitioning. These are soulful. They're immensely appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then Precious says, yes, you can never love from an empty cup. Yours should first overflow. No, absolutely. And we always make the mistake of wanting to give more to people than we give to ourselves. But ultimately, if you have nothing to give to yourself, you can't give it to anyone, you know? And unfortunately, especially as women, we were taught to always give even when there's nothing left. You feel guilty when you have to leave your family just for some time to yourself because it's expected that, you know, you must keep going, you know? But that's I think a lot of us have awakened to the reality. This is the potato bake, guys. So see those Parmesan crisps, they have crisped so nicely and they just look beautiful. So I'll just sprinkle some chives in that. Let me keep the bits in the oven. Okay, so let's continue with the mushroom sauce. So I'm just gonna put it here for now. I'll put it back in. Yeah, that looks amazing, and I just leave it outside. It's crispy. It's, if you can hear, it's nice and crispy. So this sauce, what I'll do, dried parsley, quite a bit of it. And then, don't laugh, don't laugh. Where's my... some barbecue spice, but just a touch because it can be quite salty. So just a touch of barbecue, and then I add some dried oregano. Just a touch of dried oregano. So that's dried oregano. And I will put a fresh parsley on the sauce before I serve it. And then pouring cream. This I just put all of it because what I'm going to do shortly, put this back on the heat. Then on the heat I'll add some black pepper. So some black pepper. And then what I do is add vegetable stock. So I'll show you what stock I add. Okay, so it's just vegetable stock. That's why, vegetable stock. So pour a bit. Because I don't want the sauce to be too thick. It needs to flow. So I don't really thicken it that much. Show you in a moment what it looks like. And if you've had a lot of juices in your lamb, you can use the lamb juices to add to the sauce. It gets really, really nice. That nice spice and salt from the lamb. Okay, I'll show you shortly what it looks like. Add a bit more black pepper. You must read up on nutrients. Black pepper has a lot of antioxidants. That's why I don't age. Precious says, haha, unobu chef nyana ne. Yo, now I feel like cooking up the storm. No, not just nyana. I cook. Like, I'm always cooking. So these things, whatever I use to cook, I actually cook more at home than I do. We do takeouts or dinners somewhere because it's healthier and you know what goes into it, and it's also cheaper, to be honest. So you know, rather stay home, save yourself money, and eat healthy, and then of course go out every now and then. Why not? But if cooking is not your thing, then ish, yeah, okay. And I'm just gonna show you something. And then there's a little trick, lazenby sauce. We call this Worcester sauce. But that's just to give color. It's not really to add anything. Don't put too much, just a little bit. Now you can see the sauce. Yeah. So I'll just make it, it's still a bit more creamy than I would like it to be. So I'm just gonna add a bit more water to it. But just a touch of water. Because if I add more stock, then it's gonna get thicker and I don't want that. So I'll show you what it looks like shortly. chair, and I'll add some chives and fresh parsley. One of the things I cook with a lot is fresh chives and fresh parsley, but not just fresh, dried as well. You can never go wrong with herbs, no matter where you are, no matter what you're cooking. And I'm that person, I'll just throw herbs on everything. They're healthy, so, and you also get to see what goes with what. I've never had a moment where I'm cooking something and it doesn't go, where I put herbs and they don't go with something. So I don't go with traditional rules of cooking. You can see I have no rules. I just cook, and cooking for me is really sharing a very big part of my life. It's sharing who I am. So yeah, let me show you what the sauce looks like now and we can close the session. See? And it is nice and not too thick, and it will go over the lamb really nicely. And I'll probably add more black pepper to it. So you see, it's nice and smooth, but not chunky or natty pap. And it tastes amazing. That's the one, guys. That's the one. That is the one. Okay, so that's our cooking. So I already told you what I'm gonna do with the asparagus. Asparagus takes 3 minutes. Just fry, olive oil, black pepper, salt, a little bit or not, and then some lemon juice before you serve it. And then I'll just throw these in. These are edamame beans, one of the healthiest beans you'll find. So everything I make is healthy. Even the creamy stuff is healthy. You want to see the lamb? I showed you the lamb a long time ago. But I'll show it to you again. The lamb has been resting. It's been resting for the last 20 minutes. See? How beautiful. Yeah. Looks good. Perfectly cooked. Yeah. So I'll carve that when, let me see. My husband likes to carve the lamb, so, you know, it just depends on what you're looking for. I'll show you what it looks like. And the juices are still settling, so there we go. It's perfectly cooked. Perfectly cooked. Perfectly pink, but I let the juices stand some more. So yeah, here's a slice of the lamb. Looks good, hey? Look, looks really good. Looks really amazing. Oh, that's nice. That's really good. Okay. I'm done cooking. The sauce is looking great. Look. Look at that. Okay. You see? Yeah, you've already seen everything. So I'll just now plate and stuff. I don't necessarily plate. I just dish up the food and let people dish up for themselves. Yeah, I think that's it. That's it for today. I just want to thank you for joining in. I hope that I helped you somehow. Feel free to invite your friends. And I won't be doing these sessions anywhere else except here. So we do it again next Sunday. It's not a cooking show, so I'm not going to send you things that you must prepare. You cook what you're cooking, where you're cooking, and you can take some tips from what I'm cooking and try it next time. But yeah, I suck at telling people instructions on how to cook. I just cook. You take something great. so yeah, I hope I add it to at least your menu for future cooking, and that I helped answer some of your questions. This session will stay here, so you can watch it time and again. And then next week we'll do it again. And I'm gonna get better at this YouTube thing, because I'm also like trying it. I'm trying it. We know before I would do the mentorship, I'd get questions up front, prepare for that, then come and just be on screen and give the answers and stuff. So now it's more interactive and I like that more, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna, you know me, I'm gonna go all out and zhoosh it up. Probably gonna have my technical team come and help me and we do this thing proper. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you again next week on Sunday, same time, 10 to 12. You can all go to early morning church sessions or after. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. Take care and see you next week. All the best for the week. Take care.